So Masonry and Satanism, my books review continue. Talking about Stuart Swervelo and Blue Blood, True Blood, Psychic Self-Defense by Dion Fortune, and Edgar Cayce, The Story of Jesus. I'm just trying to diversify the information so that you can see where I get all the data from. Is something crazy going on? Comet Ison's on its way? And should we worry? All this is supposed to happen this Christmas. It's just crazy. I say, Rick Miracle. Hello and good day. It's Rick Miracle here again. It's Sunday. Clock changed today, November 3rd, 2013, and I'm in Orlando, Florida. These series of videos, Masonry and Satanism, book review 1 through 25. This will be number 14. As I have explained in these videos, I became aware something strange was going on in the world in 2005. I mean, we all knew 2001 was crazy, and World War I and World War II. But I was just a regular guy, going about my business, having a good time, making money, doing like what everybody else was doing. But I went down to Costa Rica. I sat at a tiki bar, and I was the only American. Somebody there from Argentina, Germany, Canada, Holland, all over the world. And it just struck me, they weren't talking about the USA. They were talking about their world, their problems, their concerns, what was important to them. And it just made me realize that the whole world doesn't focus on the USA. With that said, the USA, with its 800, some say 900 bases all over the world, and the national debt problem of 17 trillion, which was in the newspaper yesterday, that could probably be 34 or 44 trillion, because see, when they tell the public 17 trillion, they don't tell the public about the interest. So it's a deception. So anyways, my series is book reviews. What I'm trying to do is not tell you what I want you to believe me. So I came up with this idea of doing book reviews, so that instead of me telling you what I think and you believing me, I would read from the books. And since 2005, it's been what could be 150, but I'm trying to stay on the safe side and say 100. You know, I don't like to exaggerate. But there's so many I've even forgotten. I keep going through my bookcases and boxes of books, and I find books I read I just didn't remember that I read. And that happened today, and I did this book, Psychic Self-Defense. Let's see, when was this book published? 1959. So let's review 1959, shall we? World War II was between 1940 and 46. So it was after World War II. So just before 1960, the Aquarian Press of London did this book, A Study of Occult Pathology and Criminology. See, a lot of people with this series, Masonry and Satanism, they want to just discard Satanism because they don't believe in God, so they don't believe in Satan. Well, I've got some news for you. God's real, Satan's real, you're real, and you have a soul. And you have some decisions to make. So that's why I'm doing these series of videos. So I'm going to read a little bit here. It might blow you away. Page 203. Methods of defense. Okay, so we're talking about a girl here. And she says, I came across them in a manner which serves to illustrate the way in which occultists can. I came across them in a manner which serves to illustrate the way in which occultists can what? Call, in the other world, in the other dimension, spiritual world, call for information that may be in need of, and the fortuitous train of circumstances that will supply it. Okay. So I just randomly went in my book. I made little markers, as you can see I normally do on my books. I read this a few years ago. As a young girl, at the commencement of my interest in occultism, I came in touch with an adept. That's somebody who knows about magic and occultism. I came in touch with an adept whom I soon realized to be on the left-hand path, and with whom I soon severed my connection. So was the left-hand path the evil path of Satanism or occultism? Can people be into occultism and spiritualism and communicating with the other side? And can it be benevolent instead of malevolent? Can it be good instead of bad? Shortly after I broke with him, I was watching a Gym Akaya in company. I suppose that's some kind of gymnastic event, with some friends, among them a student of occultism. And we began to discuss matters of mutual interest. Impelled by I know not what impulse to confide in him what I had never told a soul, I told him of my experiences with the adept. Have referred to. I told him of my experiences with the adept I have referred to. I'm not the best reader in the world, but I think you get it. To my surprise, he knew all about him. It seems that my new acquaintance was connected with a group of occultists who had taken for their work the hunting out of the black lodges. They had already crossed the trail of my black adept and had compelled him to close down, and he had sworn not to reorganize his order. Reminds me of the Masonic lodges. They're called orders and temples. They had reason to believe recently that this oath was not being kept, and that he had again organized the lodge and was working his rituals, but they did not know where to lay their hands on him. Then here came I, a bit of human flotsam tossed up on the sports field to give them the information they needed at the very moment when they needed it. Things happen too regularly in occultism for one to be able to look upon them as chance. It is my belief that it is possible for anyone who has need of them to get in touch telepathically, with this occult police force. The symbol I was taught to use was a black cavalry cross, with circle on the scarlet ground. This is pictured in the imagination, while gazing at it mentally, the call is set to the unseen, projecting it from the center of the forehead. This would be the third eye. So I, as you know how I am, went on the computer and wanted to see what was a black cavalry cross. And you can do the same. And again, I continue to tell you that whatever you want to look this stuff, symbolism seems to be everything. And you just put Calvary Cross and pictures and search it on the internet, and you'll get these image websites. They really do open your eyes. Of the cross of Calvary, Jesus died for you and me. There he shed his precious blood, that from sin we might be free. Oh, the cleansing stream does flow, and it washes white as snow. Little poem here on this thing I found. It was for me that Jesus died on the cross of Calvary. So this lady here says that she would imagine the black Calvary cross would circle on the scarlet ground. I think scarlet's red. I'm not sure. Anyways, I want to continue reading this because we have much to go through in this video. Various attempts have been made to prove that the occult fraternities are all directed from a single headquarters. Various attempts have been made to prove that all the occult fraternities are directed from a single headquarters. For the evil side, I call that the Illuminati, and they certainly control the Zionists. And the Masonic lodges are filters all across the world, the nation of the U.S., everywhere. People are brought in, and on the lower levels, they're not told what's going on. But they are led in there by a temptation of learning something secret. All right, various attempts have been made to prove that the occult fraternities are all directed from a single headquarters, said variously to be situated in Germany, Tibet, Mongolia, and South America. Personally, I do not believe it. I suppose that I have a pretty varied acquaintance with the inner workings of the occult movement, and I've never seen anything whatever that indicated any centralized control, whether for good or for evil. Everything, in fact, points the other way and indicates that there is no connecting link save of the common literature, the common idealism, and a set of symbols, which, if not common to all sections, are readily translatable by means of well understood equivalents. The position in the occult field is analogous to that of the Protestant Christianity, and not Roman Christianity. Occultism has no pope. So they're saying the various Christian religions would be similar to the various occultic factions. 1776, Adam Weishaupt formed the Illuminati by forming some alliance with all the Masonic lodges from Germany, France, China, Japan, England, United States, South America, everywhere. That became the Illuminati, if people don't know. Nor do I think that the Bolshevisms ever gained any foothold in the lodges. Well, I disagree. And if we know about the Illuminati and the Rothschilds in London, who created the secret bank, the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C., USA, that financed the Bolshevik Zionist Jewish folks, that also financed Hitler in Germany, these people were playing a bigger game. And not good for us. The average occultist is not interested in politics. His concern is with invisible things. Well, I disagree. I think that the Illuminati are in control of all this. They supply the money. And yes, these people may be involved in all this magic, but the sinister forces higher up in the Illuminati, the Zionist forces, the Masonic lodges everywhere with the leaderships, the global banksters, the globalists, the New World Order folks are playing a very evil game, as I keep saying. Okay, moreover, the occult fraternities are too uncoordinated and scattered to be formidable political weapons, even if they were imbued with Bolshevism. This is 1959. We today know that this is not true, that there is a new world order coming, and there is a lot of horrible things happening, which I will get into in a second. Alright, but I just wanted you to know that my book review, here's just another book that you can find on the used book sites like abebooks.com or any of the other ones for a couple bucks, and find an old copy, and information should blow you away. It has also been said that the occult fraternities are controlled by the Jews in the interest of Zionism. So everything I'm saying is in all these books. If it was one book or 2 books or 20 books or even 50 books or 75 books, I wouldn't be doing these videos. But after 100 or 150 in 10 years, I think you ought to listen to somebody. And don't listen to me. Go buy the book. Go on the used book site. Listen to yourself. It's your soul and your life at stake. Wait till you see the next book I'm going to review on this video. Whoa. I don't want to scare you. It has also been said that occult fraternities are controlled by the Jews in the interest of Zionism. Again, who controls who? The Zionists control the Illuminati, or the Illuminati controls the Zionism? I'd say they're communicating with the other side, and this satanic dude is controlling all of them, i.e. Lucifer, which is in all the texts that I read in the Masonic Lodge books that I have purchased online, which we will review, and it says the word Lucifer. The Rosicrucian book that I read, the training manual, that Abraham Lincoln was the leader, U.S. Nationwide, of the Rosicrucian fraternity. It says right in there that Lucifer is their deity, their God. I guess there was a little battle in heaven, as history has taught us, and that Lucifer was cast out, and apparently these people who are communicating with demons, interdimensional beings, which I believe is also the alien reptilians. Remember the snake in the Garden of Eden? And the little grays, the aliens? They're coming through portals, and wait till we study a little more material here, you're going to be flabbergasted when you find out. This is quite untrue. There are very few Jews in the occult movement. Please, somebody give me a break. We all know they're into the Kabbalah and the Talmud. It is true, however, that the Kabbalah, here we go again, the traditional mysticism of the Jewish race. So first she says it's quite untrue, and then she's saying the traditional mysticism of the Jewish race is one of the principal sources of Western occultism. So just for you to understand, Eastern would be over there in Japan and China. That's the eastern side of that continent. And Western would be on this side of England and France and Germany. So when they say Eastern and Western, they're just talking that huge mass of land that encompasses China and India and Japan, which is an island offshore, and Mongolia and Russia. That would be the eastern side. And then on the western side would be France and Germany and all that, Austria and England and Italy. That is Western. Turkey and nations like that, Israel, that's like in the middle. Western occultism, principal sources. So apparently in one of our last video, London, England, all that is the headquarters or one of the main focus points of occultism, magic, demonology, all this stuff. I think it is taking a turn into the modern sciences, hence that big spiral in Norway and the CERN accelerator and many other things that I have discussed. I think they're taking the small magic enchantment or magic transformation, whatever they do, and on a much larger scale, possibly. The study of modern Kabbalah is almost exclusively in the hands of the Gentiles. And Orthodox Jewish scholars know little or nothing of its literature, nothing whatever of its mystical significance. I completely disagree with that. No one has said harder things of the occult movement than I have. And if I thought there were any organized system of evil influence, I should not hesitate to say so, for I have the integrity of the movement very much at heart. But I honestly do not believe there are any generalized organization of the occult movement, whether for good or evil. Whatever it may be one's conception of good or evil. The new world order, the new word on the street is, there's no such thing as good and evil. You can do whatever you want. That's Lucifer speaking, friends. So anyways, I just thought I would share that with you. And they did mention the Bolsheviks, so I thought I would do my regular little routine here and flash a few pictures. The occultum is very alive. This was a Super Bowl halftime show. And all the last Super Bowl shows were like this. They are using mind control on TV. Gene Roddenberry, as I said the other day, in that video I told you to watch, I hope you did, said he would go into the occultic trance and get his scripts for shows for the Star Trek series. Now, I watched that one Star Trek series on Sunday night. It's on Antenna TV at 8 o'clock. And Star Trek went to this planet where these people were living in a Garden of Eden type atmosphere and were not familiar with fornicating and kissing and groping. They were all living in huts and in like I said, a Garden of Eden. And so Star Trek and the commander and Mr. Captain Kirk and Spock and the doctor, well, they educated the people about kissing and loving and all that and having children. And as they were leaving, Spock said, "Isn't this like what's in the Bible?" And Captain Kirk looked at Spock and said, "Well, Spock, who here looks like the devil?" And Spock shut up and said, "Okay, we're okay." So yeah, I saw clearly that Gene Roddenberry got that from biblical accounting or his writers, or did he really get it from the other dimension like he said he did? When you watch the Star Trek series now, maybe it'll make you think twice. And again, it's just getting grosser and grosser and grosser and grosser. This is the world that the demonic side wants to bring to us. And you think that's interesting? Wait till you see what I'm going to tell you next. Rick Miracle reporting. Personally, this may be too much for you. Certainly don't let any kids listen to this. Seriously, it's too much for me. Now remember, when we're talking about occultism, we're talking about the Ten Commandments and God, or the Communist Manifesto, which says you don't have any property rights, and they're going to confiscate all your wealth to pay the press release new information that we don't know is 17 trillion, but maybe more like 34 trillion. And some, the government's buying up bullets, and we'll get into all that. But let me read from this book, Blue Blood, True Blood. Stephen Stuart Swervlow, a personal story. Stephen Stuart Swervlow, S-W-E-R-D-L-O-W, was one of many, many people that were as a young boy, were kidnapped or abducted and taken to secret bases and mind controlled and sexually abused and all kinds of other strange things. You want to hear what this guy says? This is page 69. Like I said, it's not for the light-hearted here. Blood ritual and ceremony. There are many different kinds of ritual and ceremony that are performed as part of the reptilian belief structure. Reptilian. Remember the snake in the Garden of Eden? There are people like Alex Jones and many others who say there are reptilian aliens among us, and that they are all sort of changelings. I have explained in my previous videos that I believe there are different levels of DNA mixture with humans, as it says in the Bible that the sons of God found the women fair. That's in the Bible. So these alien creatures somehow mix their DNA with humans, and a lot of the Illuminati stuff that Fritz Springmeier talked about in the book I went over, these, as everybody already knows, these elite families all intermarry. And apparently, the Zionist Jewish folks, with their serious hunger and thirst for rising in the different classes of society, have intermarried with these kings and queens, and we have a very interesting mixed group of people who are running our world, which I suppose we could call the Illuminati. And they're completely aware of and utilize occultism, magic, laws of nature. You're going to find out drugs, TV mind control, murder, wars. It is not pleasant to read about, let alone witness. However, it is important to be informed, especially because these rites involve global leadership figures that control every aspect of daily life. The most common ceremony performed by the hybrids, see, the mixture of the DNA of humans and these creatures, is the ingestion of human blood and hormones to maintain the human form. So depending upon how pure your DNA is, the more you interbreed with humans, the less reptilian DNA is in your body. And you need less human blood and other activities to maintain your human form versus maybe slightly cloaking back into maybe your eyes get a slit or whatever. You can check this out on the internet. There's plenty of websites about this, videos on YouTube. But apparently if you ingest the blood and have these sacrificial ceremonies, remember we talked about Alex Jones and the ceremony of care where they throw a baby in the fire and photographed by presidents there and other officials and politicians and CEOs and these elites. They have these ceremonies, and remember, a lot of these elites are these blue blood families which have DNA in their blood, which apparently gives them an enhanced psychic abilities. Interesting, huh? And I should have never started reading all this stuff. It's something maybe not knowing is better, huh? The most common ceremony performed by the hybrids is the ingestion of human blood, hormones to maintain the human form. Without these substances, the reptilian mind pattern would activate their DNA when they would look like lizards. People say they catch of this all the time. There's been many witnesses in YouTube videos. Is it true? Is it not true? Hey, I read books. Hopefully I'm going to read enough books that you're going to figure it out for yourself. Because there's some bad days coming really quick. And as we saw with that one book there, the cross of Calvary, holding the cross up, can protect you. In the occult psychic defense book. Depending on the need of the individual, this might be necessary as often as every few days, or perhaps even every few months. Like I said, it's how pure the reptilian DNA is. I do know that when they did seances, when I did my psychic research 10 years ago, and an apparition would appear in the room with the people sitting around the table during a seance, calling forth dead relatives or beings, that after the entity left, there would be gooey stuff all over the table. So what they did, and there were like long strings of it leading to the medium, the psychic who was doing the seance. So apparently the demonic being, or the being from the other side, was drawing up some of the plasma also is called blood, from the medium to manifest some kind of visible apparition. You don't want to know this stuff, do you? The primary way to receive this energy, let's see, older hybrids. The key factor are the age of the individual and the percentage of reptilian human DNA. Older hybrids, as well as those with more reptilian genetics, need the human harmonics, that's frequencies, more often. We're all frequencies, all human beings. If you put an electron microscope on your arm and you zoom in, you zoom in, you zoom in, you zoom in, you're going to see swirling electrons and molecules. Everybody knows that. So even us humans are not entirely solid. We're made up of atoms that are swirling, and they're called those Einstein. Everything is all flashing in and out of state of matter and frequency, electromagnetics. The primary way to receive this energy is through blood. Human semen is considered the most potent booster because it contains hormones, genetic material, and blood. An all-in-one tonic, if you will. So now you know why we see the sex on TV and the promotion for homosexuality and all this. The sexual portion of this, I suppose these reptilians get energy to sustain themselves, and they need plenty of willing partners instead of what God's 10th commandment number 7 says, do not do adultery. They need to get rid of God's word so they can do their game, and that's invading our world, which is all biblical. The procedure can be as simple as fellatio, or it can be more complicated like bloodletting and the actual eating of internal organs or the genitalia. The latter implies death by murder. Many missing children and young adults meet their end this way. The hybrids particularly like the young, as their blood and hormones are more energetic. Menstruating women are also considered a prize, since blood from the womb is considered highly potent, as are the hormones of pregnant women. When produced during heightened sexual activity, these fluids are particularly strong, thus enhancing the human energy of the hybrids for a more prolonged period of time. The death of the supplier is not necessary for this particular type of exchange. But if the supplier is an unwilling participant, which I guess I would be, would you? Death may be necessary to keep the event a secret. There are areas on and in the earth where people are kept for the sole purpose of hormone production. Son of a gun. Miles Johnston is doing a lot of videos you can get free on the internet. Miles Johnston. And they're called the Bases series. Bases 1, Bases 8, Bases 10. And he's interviewing people who have escaped from these secret underground facilities or wherever prisons they were in, since children who were being used and milked of their energy through sexual abuse, drawing of blood, rituals. Miles Johnson, Basis series. And when it was one lady, Sybil, was describing all her events, she was describing the stuff here in Stewart's book. I've watched about 4 of the bases. It's probably like basis 20, basis 30. So each one is a series about a person. Basis 1, basis 2. Miles Johnson, the basis series. And it's just, you have to know what's going on in the world. Ignorance is not going to work out for you, in my opinion. And I'd love for somebody to prove me wrong. I don't want to believe this either, but the books are published, and I'm just doing my book reviews and sharing what I learned with you. There are areas on and in the earth where people are kept for the sole purpose of hormone production. These are primary women kept for breeding to provide the necessary biological substances. We all know about UFO and alien abductions. There's your connection. Often the blood or body fluid is mixed with an accelerant such as red wine, arsenic, herbs, or milk to increase the biological energy even further. Pornography is promoted worldwide to activate sexual desires and activities, making it easy to find willing ceremony participants. So I am not the anti-homosexual person here. I am telling you that there's an insidious thing going on in the world. Alright. Drugs and sexual activity both enhance Illuminati ritual energy. Illuminati. My series is Masonry and Satanism. I'm saying that's the Illuminati. It's in this book. I don't think I needed to read anymore. If you really want to know, go get the book. Look at all my notes. So my point with these books is that I'm very concerned go to Infowars.com. Alex Jones is telling you things you need to probably know. They got things like this after the tribulation. What kind of propaganda? What kind of plans do they have? Plans for us? What's with the ammo shortage? Reported on the news everywhere that the government is buying up tons and tons of ammo. Monsanto, they're doing sky spraying. A lot of people should be aware of that. And the sky spraying is altering the soil. And so Monsanto is manufacturing seeds that are aluminum resistant, and apparently they're dumping aluminum in the sky. Look this stuff up, don't believe me. A lot of the other stuff I talked about was the false flags like Oklahoma City bombing. We'll do a book review on that book. So this is enough for this moment, and I think I'll review one more book in this particular video. Thank you. Alright, so we did a little psychic defense and a little blue blood, true blood, which connects the dots, both books do, with Zionism and Illuminati and the Masonry and the Satanists. Edgar Cayce. A lot of people have read about Edgar Cayce. 17,000 trances he went into and helped people with health issues, historic past lives experiences. So I thought I'd read a little bit from this, which is on a lighter note than what we did read, but it's still rather important. The following paragraphs contain some of the few recorded words of Edgar Cayce. So he himself was interviewed about what he did. In his conscious state, speaking on the subject of his clairvoyant discourse, or readings. This is included to both explain the readings as he experienced them, and also to indicate some measure of the man in his awakened state. What is a reading? He was asked. It is rather hard to describe something which has become so much a part of me. Almost like trying to describe what my face looks like. I can show you, but I can't tell you. I might tell you some of my experiences and thoughts concerning the readings, but as to what a reading is, I can only tell you what others have said about them and what has come to me as I have studied the effect created in the minds of those receiving the readings. So people write him letters back and thank him for saving their lives of cancer and other issues. It would not be an exaggeration to say that I have been in the unconscious state during which the readings are given. He's never aware of his readings. Remember I mentioned the seances, the mediums who call forth demons and beings. They don't remember either. They go into a trance, and the demonic being takes over. And they speak with the voice of the person they're calling. Perhaps 10,000 times in the last 31 years. Yet I myself have never heard a single reading. How can I describe one to you? I'm back. Many people who have never heard a reading have asked me just how I knew I could give one. I never did know it. Don't know it yet. That's what he said. Except by taking another person's word for it. He always had a handler, somebody who was in control. When he would, what he would do was interesting. He would take his two hands and lay it on a bed, like this, and look for the light. I'll read what he'll say. He'll describe it better than me. And when he would see the light, he would put his hands down on his solar plexus, his stomach area, and he would black out, and the speaking would come through him. The first step in giving a reading is like this. I loosen my clothes, my shoelaces, my necktie, my shirt cuffs, and my belt in order to have some perfectly free-flowing circulation. Then I lie down on the couch in my office. If the reading is to be a physical one, I lie with my head to the south and my feet to the north. If it is a life reading, it's just the opposite. My feet are to the south and my head to the north. The reason for this difference is polarization. As for the readings themselves call it, I do not know. Once lying comfortably, I put both hands up to my forehead, on the spot where observers have told me that the third eye is located, and pray. Interestingly enough, I have unconsciously and instinctively from the very beginning adopted the practices used by initiates in meditations. We'll go over some of these books. I've read them about initiates, people who are into the occultic stuff, and they go into meditative states and they see the bright light or they contact the other world. The Akashic records, the records of the history and everything. Anyways, I'm going on. This instinctive putting my hands to the point midway between my two eyes on my forehead is a case of what I mean. Then I wait for a few minutes until I receive what might be called the go signal. A flash of brilliant white light, sometimes tending toward a golden in color. This light is to me the sign that I have made contact. When I do not see it, I know I cannot give a reading. After seeing the light, I move my two hands down to the solar plexus, and they tell me my breathing now becomes quite deep and rhythmic from the diaphragm. It's like when you go to sleep. This goes on for several minutes. When my eyes begin to flutter, closed. Up till now they have been open, but glazed. The conductor knows I am ready to receive the suggestion. Then he proceeds to give me slowly and distinctly, which he proceeds to give me slowly and distinctly. It is as if a physical reading, for example, the name of the individual to receive the reading is given to me together with the address where he will be located during the period of time. So these are the clues that Edgar Cayce needs to be able to do a reading about somebody. There is a pause, sometimes so long a pause. They tell me that it seems I haven't heard the directions, so they give them to me again, after which I repeat the name and address very slowly until the body is located and a description of the condition is begun. All right, I'm back. I'm going to get a little crazy here again. Little Stuart. It is not uncommon for tattoos, skin carvings, and piercings to be found on the bodies of the god, goddess, or vessel. They are designed to hold energy of the ceremony. The goddess is always almost red-haired with green and blue eyes. She is thin, delicate, and very white skin. The god is almost always muscular and tall and is often of the lion frequency. He has dark blonde to light brown hair with green or blue eyes. If he has also bear energy, his hair may be dark and his eyes may be light. It's Swervo describing some of these rituals they do. The vessel may graduate after a time to become God. So these people who do these occult rituals think they're going to become God. The breeder can graduate to become a goddess. Remember we talked about the breeder that makes children for these people in his book just a minute ago? All three positions are heavily protected in the Illuminati culture. We're back at the Illuminati. The semen of the vessel and the god, known for its power, fertility, and activation, is a prized possession. Rubbing it on the body is said to open genetics and mind patterns. People who spend a lot of time with these individuals find that their life becoming emotionally volatile and physical changes begin to occur. All right. Just let it switch from Edgar Cayce to a little bit of that and go back here and pick up. Okay. So what we were reading about Edgar Cayce is they give him the name of the person and the address. There is a pause, sometimes a long pause. This, then, is how I give a reading. I am entirely unconscious throughout the whole procedure. When I wake up, I feel as if I had slept a bit too long. The frequency, I frequently feel slightly hungry. Sorry, I'm not reading so well. Just hunger enough for a cracker and a glass of milk, perhaps. As to the validity of the information that comes through me when I sleep, naturally is the question that occurs to everyone. Personally, I feel that the validity depends largely on how much faith or confidence the one seeking has in the source of information. Of course, the validity has been objectively proven many hundreds of times by the results that have come from applying the advice. With regard to the source of the information, I have some ideas naturally, but even though I have been doing this work for 31 years, I know very little about it. Whatever I could say would be largely a matter of conjecture. I can make no claims whatsoever to great knowledge. I too am only groping. So Edgar Cayce is going in these trances. And you can get the book on the used book site. But then, we all learn only by experience. We come to have faith and understanding by taking one step at a time. We don't all have the experience of getting religion all at once. Like the man who got it halfway between the bottom of the well and the top when he was blown out by the explosion of dynamite, we all have to have our experiences and arrive at conclusions by weighing the evidence with something that responds from deep within our inner selves. So what I'm telling you from the satanic point of view, psychic defense point of view, the satanic point of view, Edgar Cayce, in his reading the Bible every year, and I think he read it 5 or 6 times when he was only 10 years old. The God point of view. We all have a spirit, and God is He gave us the 10 Commandments and told us to serve others and to be godly, and that would save us. Lucifer, who was thrown out of heaven, wants to do just the opposite, which is the Communist Manifesto, which is the New World Order taken over in the United States today. It's that simple. And these are 3 books. Edgar Cayce, Story of Jesus, Stuart Swervelow, Blue Blood, True Blood. His experiences, look at all, I read this book. That this guy describes as beyond belief. Dion Fortune, 1959, Psychic Self-Defense, an expert in the occultism, has her opinion. They are messing with us in an occult fashion on TV. Make no mistake about it. The last 3 or 4 football games. The Olympics grand opening had a Lady Gaga who admits on a video. You and I say we swear to God in the Bible when we go to court, right? She says in the video on YouTube, you can find it, she swears to Lucifer. And she admits so to a lot of these other people, the deal they made with the devil. This goes back to the Russian Revolution that I keep saying. The Protocols of Zion, which I described. Maybe I should read a little bit of that. End this program here. You ready? And I'll end this. As you can see, I just go off, ad-lib this whole thing. I'm not an expert, I'm an amateur. So, Jewish superstate. Protocol number 9. You want to know what's coming in our world. These demonic entities. These Jewish people here trying to warn us. The Protocols of Zion, the book. Published many times over the years, 100 years. For us, there are no checks to limit the range of our activity. So the Jewish superstate says, there's nothing to stop them from what they're doing. The only thing that I know that can stop them is knowledge and God. Our super government subsists in extra legal conditions which are described in the accepted terminology by the energetic and forcible word dictatorship. That's what's coming with the New World Order. I am in a position to tell you with a clear, concise, clear conscience that at the proper time, we, the lawgivers, shall execute judgment and sentence. Is that judgment and sentence on you and me? We shall slay, we shall spare. We're going to slay some people and spare some people. I suspect they'll spare the Lucifer people and the ones who do what Miley Cyrus does and Lady Gaga and Madonna and Beyonce and all them. All the Sammy Davis Jr. when he went to the Church of Satan and brought a lot of other actors, and Gene Roddenberry, who went into the mind control state and got the scripts for the Star Trek series. We, as head of all our troops, are mounted on the steed of the leader. We rule by force of will, because in our hands are the fragments of a once powerful party, now vanquished by us. And the weapons in our hands are limitless, ambitious, burning greediness, merciless, vengeance, hatred, and malice. If they control the U.S., they're going to control our nukes. Whose else nukes do they control? Russia. Remember the Russian Revolution? It is from us that the all-engulfing terror proceeds. We have in our service persons of all opinion, of all doctrines, restoring monarchists, demagogues, socialists, communists, utopian dreamers of every kind. They have all of our professors at our university, all of our politicians, all of our banksters, all of our elites. Go read the Protocols of Zion. That's number 9. So I just thought I'd end this particular video with that. Protocols of Zion, psychic self-defense, blue blood, true blood, Edgar Casey. Are you getting any closer to understanding that there's a real threat? Oh, one more thing. If you go on the Jet Propulsion Lab, on the internet, and you type in, this is a NASA website that you can see where asteroids or comets are coming from, plug in ISON, I-S-O-N. There's an irony that they call it I-S-O-N. Get it? I-Son, not I-Daughter, I-Son. Anyways, it swings, it just passed Mars. This is on the news the other day. I checked it out yesterday. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't checked on this stuff for a couple days, couple weeks. Anyways, it just passed by Mars. And Mars was as we all know, a red planet, not even glowing. Kind of dull. As ISON passed it a week ago, this is the November 3rd, now Mars glows with an illumined glow around it, like a radiation. A glow. Something charged up the atmosphere. Okay, so on the Thanksgiving, 2013, this month, 27th, ISON swings around the sun. Apparently it's the size of, could be a sun. Pretty big comet, they say. Well, it just made Mars glow. And look this up, don't believe me. Gosh, don't believe me. Anyways, if it hits the sun, I suppose that could be a disaster. But it's supposed to swing around the sun. And here's a really interesting part in all this stuff that we're talking about. The God world, the satanic world. The stuff is coming to a climax, I think. December 17th, it passes. Here's Earth going through space around the sun. December 17th, ISON passes in front of the Earth. It's gone. December 25th, Christmas Day, Earth goes into the debris trail. Look this up on the internet. It's just too unreal. Is NASA fabricating this whole thing? Do they plan on having a third world war? Will they unleash some nuclear missiles and say that they're comets that are hitting us? I don't know. Is it some kind of a cult thing? Are there going to be a great harvest of souls? I don't know. I'll put my faith in God and in Jesus. After reading all this stuff, you decide. Thank you for listening to my reading poorly and watching my videos. God bless. And please wake up for your sake and mine. Thank you. Oh, this is Rick Miracle with a little demonstration. Comet ISON. I'm on the Jet Propulsion Lab website, and I'm clicking forward, and you can see the dates. And as you can see here, it comes around the sun around Thanksgiving, 29, 30, So it's all the way around it by 30. And let's keep going. Here's where it gets interesting. It passes in front of Earth. On the 17th of December. And Earth goes through the debris field Christmas Day. And then by January 5th, it seems to be through it. So I just think that's kind of strange. You can go in the Jet Propulsion Lab and do this yourself. Sorry, I'm holding my iPhone up to the laptop computer screen to video this. So what I'll do now is I'll just skip back in time. I'll go a little faster. Okay, so we're at November 13th. This is November 2nd in Orlando, Florida. So one more time I'll skip to the future. Date, November 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. So it comes into the proximity of the sun. 27, 28. It either hits the sun or goes around it, I suppose. 29, 30. Now it's booming away from the sun. And Comet Ison passes in front of the Earth on the 17th of December. And then the Earth goes into the debris field 100% on the 27th. I'm sure it gets hit by Christmas. It's obvious. And then around the 5th it comes out completely. I just think there's an irony to the dates. The biblical significance. The satanical significance. What's really going to happen? How much of this is propaganda? Don't you want to know? Rick Miracle reporting. Another website that's interesting. It's the NASA government SOHO, S-O-H-O data. And I just plugged in on November 2nd the last 300 photos. Now I know, I see to the left, about 3/4 out and a little above the sun, there is a moving body going towards the sun. Right there. See it? Okay, now we back up. And so we're at 154, 160. And so the last 300 images. This is a test video here, so that as we get closer to the approach of the, this is 217, 218. As we get closer to the date when Ison should come into view, I wonder if they'll still let me use this website to see Ison go around the sun. 257. You can see their body. It's probably a planet or something. But it is going closer and closer to the sun. And as it gets 290, it's going to reset and go all the way back. That's how this works. There you go. Just thought you'd find this interesting. Rick Miracle reporting. You can go to the SOHO website, plug in the last so many images, and watch the activity going on.